All right, another team review. This one for team name CrazyWojo. Looks like that's also the username. Let's check out the league setup. 12 teams, Superflex, start 10, PPR, no tight end premium. That's what I like. So we'll go position by position for Wojo and we'll get an idea of where you stand within your league and what sort of moves you can make to set you up for better success. Let's go position by position. Quarterbacks, Stroud, Herbert, Penix. It's a solid 3, probably a strong 3 just on value. But you can only start 2 of these guys. So we're going to talk about moves you can make here a little bit later. Running backs, Genty, Hubbard, and then Tootin, Jones, and then some dart throws. Maybe Braylon Allen has some value with the offense changing in New York. Maybe he moves into more of a thumper role with similar to what we see with the Detroit Lions, kind of David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, the offensive coordinator for the Jets coming over from the Lions. Maybe we see a bit more committee and Braylon Allen takes on a bigger role. So he's kind of a hold. Here, it's a strong, it's like a solid 3. Genty and Hubbard can be your starting 2. Bashal Tootin is a dart throw. Aaron Jones will probably still produce for a little bit, but you're in the last year. And then the rest of this, I don't know that these guys ever touch a lineup. Wide receivers, Lad McConkey, Pearsall, Besh, Williams, Mooney, Tillman. Okay, probably 2 of kind of week 2. Like maybe McConkey and Pearsall end up being weekly starters, but I'm not expecting Jack Besh, Kyle Williams to be week in, week out starters. Darnell Mooney is probably going to be in your lineup a lot of weeks. Same with Cedric Tillman. And I just don't know how I feel about those guys on a contending team. So we'll call that a 2. Tight ends, Tucker Kraft, Kyle Pitts. That's another 2. Tucker Kraft had a good year last year. I think Luke Musgraves was hurt again in Green Bay. I'm not totally sure how I see their tight end room. They've got Tucker Kraft, Musgrave. I thought Musgrave was the receiving tight end, but he's been injured a lot of years, and Tucker Kraft has filled that role. He maybe has fully kind of overtaken him completely, and we expect to get tight end 7, 8 numbers from Kraft, but it's nothing special. And then Kyle Pitts, if he's been on your team for a while, he's probably disappointed you for a while. So on this team, man, I don't know that I see it as a heavy contender. I've got 5 teams ahead of you in just current keep trade cut value. Be weary of that. Like, this is not something I trust heavily because guys like CJ Stroud will be overvalued by the market. Like, he's never given you QB9 numbers. I think one year he finished QB 11, and last year, I've been saying this on so many videos. Let me just double check where he finished last year. I think it was QB 15, but my mind also says QB 18. Like, it wasn't good. And the offensive line for Houston, I don't know that it's gotten any better. We're hoping that it's fine, but I don't know that it got better. I've got Stroud pulled up here. Yeah, he was QB 18 last year. In his rookie year, he was QB 11 across 15 games. So I guess we'll transition and talk a little bit about moves you can make. If someone will buy CJ Stroud as though he's a top 10 quarterback, I've had people in my league say they wouldn't move Stroud because they thought he was a top 5 to top 10 quarterback. Like, that's just not accurate. That's just not true. He just has not done that, and I don't see any reason to think that he would outperform guys like Purdy, who you could probably get. Like, this guy would probably see, well, it might be hard to make a move for Brock Purdy because he's got 3 quarterbacks, but I don't know why we would assume CJ Stroud would outperform Trevor Lawrence. I don't know why we think he would we just looked at the team who has Jordan Love. If you have CJ Stroud, if I had CJ Stroud on this team, I would be trying to trade him for Kyler Murray. Maybe this guy will view that as an upgrade and give you more on top of Kyler Murray for Stroud. Same thing with Dak Prescott. Like, Dak Prescott is going to probably outscore CJ Stroud by a lot this year. unless Dallas's offense gets horrible under their new head coach, like CJ Stroud right now is just a name. I took that as a bit of a tangent and skipped my normal order here. Let's cover your draft picks. Nothing special. Like you've moved your second. Nothing special, good or bad. For a starting lineup for you, you're looking like Stroud and Herbert. We're trying to get to 10 here. Genty, Hubbard, Ladd, Ricky, Tucker Kraft, and then we got to fill out 3 more spots from Jack Bash, Kyle Williams, Darnell Mooney, Cedric Tillman, Aaron Jones. It's not looking like a strong contending team, even though you're listed in the top 6. Now, because these guys below you could be worse, like you might fool around and make the playoffs this year. So if we're in the middle of the pack, I think we should try to find some moves that set you up for future success, but also set you up at a chance to make the playoffs. So like I mentioned, I would look to move Stroud if your league values him as highly as this or higher. Same thing with Penix. A team like this, I don't know that I would want 3 quarterbacks. You could look to see, how if you're just looking to see if Penix pops. I don't know that he's really that we should really expect his ceiling to be higher than Jordan Love, Brock Purdy, all of those guys that I mentioned before. So we're just hoping to see a value uptick from QB 19 to QB 12. Let's see what Jordan Love is at. Yeah, QB 12, QB 13 for Purdy. So I don't know that there's a lot of ceiling room for, what's his name, Michael Penix. But there's a little bit of room for him to ascend in value. But if I had this team, I'd be moving Stroud, trying to get better receivers. And same thing probably with Ashton Genty. If you feel like you're trying to contend this year, he's already listed as RB3. You could tier down to a different running back and add another receiver for your starting lineup. I wouldn't be looking to go super far down. I mean, if you went Kyron Williams and got some firsts on top, or Kyron Williams and some players on top, although there's not really anyone here. I mean, Kyron and Garrett Wilson is probably a little bit rich for Genty, but if that's something you could talk to this guy about, or some combination of Achane and picks that you could then move for other players. I mean, this guy might give you, he probably sees himself as borderline contending just like you are. So if you were able to move a quarterback and Genty and come away with a bunch of players that go into your lineup, or picks that you could then flip for players in sequence, that's something I would be looking to do. See if this guy wants to give you value on one of those quarterbacks. So you don't have to move Stroud and Genty together with those guys, but that's kind of what I would be looking to do. When you have someone whose value is as high up, let me just pull up. Let's get a view of kind of the rough rankings of where Ashton Genty is. Genty here at 3 at 7,700. I mean, people in your league are probably coming to keep trade cut and entering in trades for him. If I could tier down to Devon Achane and get a first on top of that, if I could tier down to Judkins or Taylor and get multiple picks or picks and a player on top of that, I would be interested. Stuff like that. That's what can start pushing you up towards contending, rather than just kind of in the middle of the pack here hoping things break your way. Let's give it a final scan and then we'll wrap this up. So regarding your future picks, and we haven't talked about Kyle Pitts, so let's cover those two things. Kyle Pitts can go off this team. If anyone is going to give you something close to tight end 13 or top 10 tight end value, I would just move him. He's a guy that you're probably starting 1 week out of the year in Tucker Kraft's bye week. And I don't know that this team is built up enough to hold 2 tight ends. There's no tight end premium. I don't know that you would need all your value sitting on your bench. Like maybe you're putting him in as a starter, but I don't know that he's actually that good. So if you could just flip him in combination with Kyle Williams and get a better quality starting receiver, that's a move I would be looking to make. And you can kind of just take those two, plug them into Keep Trade Cut as a calculator, and that'll give you a baseline for what type of receiver you could target. Let me just do a quick scan of these. So what I mentioned at the start of the video regarding Keep Trade Cut value and why we should heavily ignore it in some spots is like this guy here. He's at 95,000, but it's a first round pick, 3 second round picks next year, and then 2 first round picks after that. That means his team is good and will contend for a while, but it's not a monster this year. It has a lot of it in future value. Where this guy probably has more value in his lineup this year just from not having draft picks. So you're on the verge. You can probably mess around and make the 6th seed, but I would be looking to make moves that set you up better for multiple years of contention. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments.